Saint Michael, first champion of the kingship of Christ, pray for us. Hello, everybody. So nice to see you all. I hope everybody is having a blessed Sunday, August 6th, 2020. Where's the time going? I'm going to start the show tonight with something a little bit different. I'm going to read a short letter to all of you that I received from a client. And her name is Tammy. And Tammy said, "Hello, Mr. Whittington. I am writing you this to tell you about a haunting I lived through some years back. It was not a haunting of people who died, but of spirits that have never been born. It started when my mother-in-law, who was a devout Buddhist, she would bow on her knees every day in my house, and it bothered me. I was raised Baptist, but I was not 100% with the Lord. I was also pregnant with my first child, and at that time, I told my baby's father to destroy that Buddhist shrine and throw it in the backyard. He did so, and then the most unbelievable, unnatural things began to happen. I have friends of mine and family that experienced on-command activity. I have so much to list here I cannot go into it. I have almost 1.5 years of demons to talk about. I mean, just ask them to switch channels on the TV, and the TV goes crazy and then to static. I have police that have been called to my house at least twice for our stereo blaring while we were gone. The second time, we had unplugged the whole stereo system, and when we came home from being out, the cops were at our front door, and they told us they were there because they heard the stereo blaring, but someone must have turned it off. And we told them that we were the only ones that lived there, and they obviously just saw us drive up. This was just the beginning of what was to come. Fast forward, I have the baby, and the last night I spent in that house, the demons collapsed a crib on my baby. I saw an angel the night before. Too much to tell you, but I can say this. I have no doubt in God or the devil. I have no doubt." I get letters like this all the time, and I want to tell you why, when I get letters like this, why they're special, because what this is a form of testifying. And when you testify to something, put your name to it, so to speak, there's a certain amount of authority that you take over that situation. You also gain a certain amount of power and strength from testifying. And if you notice, she didn't even ask for my help because she gets it. Somehow she gets it that she's the one that has the power to draw her line in the sand, make a stand, and push the darkness back. And I want you all to know that. That's what I want you to get from this letter, is that people like me, we have no powers. We are not magicians. We don't have all the answers. It's you and you alone that truly have the power to draw your line in the sand, make a stand, and push the darkness back. All we do is show up, put our arm around you, stand there, and watch your back and give you support as you're up against the bully. But ultimately, it's always up to all of you. And I know I can sense it already. There's a couple of you out there right now going, "Come on, Rev. Demons switching the TV channels." Guys, I'm telling you, my wife and I moved into this house. We've always known it was haunted. And shortly after we moved in, I had my first original 3 Mastiffs here. Not the 2 that I have now, but the first original 3 Mastiffs that we moved in here with. This was their house. They turned it into a giant doggy house, and they just allowed my wife and I to live in it. But we were the only 2 that could come in and out of the house at that time. My wife was working late. I went to a nearby restaurant to say goodbye to some friends that were flying back to the UK the following morning. When I was done, I came home, I pulled in my driveway, I got out of my car, shut the door, locked it, thought something seemed a little off, took 1 or 2 steps towards the house, bam, flashlights in my face. I get bum rushed by a half a dozen SWAT cops, for real. And my dogs are in the house going nuts. Well, they got a 911 call from the house, and they were going to enter because it sounded like somebody was being murdered in the house by my dogs. but they didn't want to go in there. They had a call into animal control because they knew if they went in, they would have to shoot my dogs. I begged them. I said, please don't go in and shoot my dogs, please. I'll do whatever I have to do so that doesn't have to happen, but please don't do that. They're all, well, we have to come in and look. We think what happened was an intruder got in your house, and he is indeed being ripped apart by your dogs. And he got to the phone to call for help, and now it's too late, but we got to get in there. I told him, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dogs, lock them in the master bedroom, and I'll open up the blinds, turn the light on so you guys can look through the window, see my dogs, see that there's nobody murdered in there. I'll come and I'll open up the front door and you guys can walk through the house, which I did. The cops turned the house upside down. There was no intruder in there. I knew there wasn't an intruder in there. Long story short, the cops look at me going, what are you into? I think he sensed there was something a little bit odd about the house. And I just said a lot of stuff, too much to go into now, but my wife's an animal. She's works at an animal hospital, and so do I, and that's our gig. So they left, but we were never, they traced it. The call did come from the house. It wasn't malevolent. It wasn't something to be scared of. I believe, because my dogs were so mischievous and got into so much stuff when we weren't around, that I believe one of the ghosts called 911 on one of my dogs, because I could go on and on and on about the things that they've done to this house, the original Mastiffs, and you wouldn't believe it. Well, I learned my lesson. Now my dogs are kenneled when we're not home, but they can manipulate this sort of stuff, electronics. You guys have witnessed it. I've had many people in my field come on to do a show with me, and the show ends up going off the air, or we have all these technical difficulties because there's things that sometimes they don't want us talking about. And that's why those things happen. They can manipulate the environment. They can manipulate electronics. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. A lot of people say, well, Rev, in addition to taking authority, what else can we do to fight back? Guys, I'm amazed every day that people, you don't have to be a Catholic or a Christian to know how to make the sign of the cross. But it's very simple, and you would be surprised how much power and authority comes with making the sign of the cross. It's sacrament if you do it with the right hand, which represents Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. Touch the head, touch the breast, left shoulder, right shoulder, and say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. God in your mind, God in your heart, you want to shoulder the cross. You have the strength to want to shoulder the cross. Or do the 3 crosses, right thumb, forehead, mouth, chest. God in my mind, God on my lips, God in my heart. You do those back to back, and you ask for God to intervene in your life at that moment and help you. If you're under attack, you will push these things back, I promise you. Real quick here, and we're going to get on my very special guest tonight. Just a real nice guy. That's what you're going to take away from the show, is that he's just a really nice guy, and I'm excited to have him here. My website, ghostbegone.biz. Everything you need to know about me, you'll find there. And if you do go to visit the website, remember my wife Sharon and I, Sharon's also a minister. My wife Sharon and I, we don't charge for our ministry work, so if you notice the button and you're able to do so, send in a small donation. I promise you it will be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and we will put it to good use, I assure you. You'll notice pages there. Spiritual advisor. In addition to being a certified or ordained exorcist, I am a certified spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. If you're having spiritual issues not attached to the paranormal and you want to make an appointment to speak with me, you can do it there. You'll notice a page that says the WSE Course and Book. I am the founder of the Worldwide Society of Exorcists. I offer a 12-week college-level online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. If you're interested in taking that course, you can enroll in the course there. Year-round open enrollment. All my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, along with some very special blessed parting gifts that only you can get from yours truly, the Rev. So you can do that there. You'll also notice on that page my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, a true story inspired by spirit and divine intervention. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner and publisher of Stellium Books, my publisher. Sometimes it takes something scary, brothers and sisters, to fight something even scarier. Part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and that is a beautiful thing. And for all of you that have already purchased my book, God bless you. You're part of that support group. You can get autographed copies there at the website enclosed in a house blessing kit. You can also get it a little cheaper at Amazon. Buyer beware if you get one of the copies that I have here that I sign and send out. Might have an attachment to it. Some of the readers that have purchased the book through me personally have said that there's a picture of an entity that I captured that I put in the book, and that entity has appeared in some of my readers' homes. Nothing to be scared about. Nobody reported any malevolent activity, but I find it mind-blowing that perhaps that entity is powerful enough to have attached to some of the books that leave my office here that I autograph. So just thought I would throw that out there too. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host with the ghosts, the Reverend Sean. Welcome to my haunted home. And Carl Albertson, my producer, is manning the chat. He is founder of Paranormal Nation Radio, and I'm happy to also announce it is my show now is a Paranormal Nation Radio and WO Entertainment joint production. So I'm happy to be on board with WO Entertainment also. It's a great organization that supports the vets, and it's all about preventing vet suicide, which is off the charts at this time. So check out WO Entertainment. Sometime they got a good lineup there also. They're branching out, getting some of us paranormal people on that network, which is very, very cool. So Carl will get your questions and comments up for me to see, to address as the show goes on. Other than that, he will man chatting with you all. Jump in there, make some friends. We're all family here. But now, without further ado, the reason why you all tuned in tonight, like I said, at the end of the interview, you're just going to remember this was a really nice guy. I'm excited to have him here. He is an elite para-hunter. He's a writer, an excellent writer, spiritual advisor, and host of Love, Light, and the Paranormal, which you can see Sunday mornings on KCORradio.com. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only Reverend Jerrod Scavoni.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on.
How are you, brother?
I am good. Excited to be here. It's nice to get a chance to talk with you again, especially.
Absolutely. Well, I have to pay it back. You had me on your show. I had such a great time. And baby steps first to get you on my Sunday show. I'm going to throw some dates at you to get you on the Monday show over on KCOR.
Okay.
But thank you for taking an hour out of your busy Sunday evening to spend with me and my viewers. I've gotten many, many comments and private messages from followers and fans of yours this week leading up to the show, how excited they are that you're here. And you got the radio voice going. You got the killer mic in front of you there. We're ready to rock and roll. I know what I want to ask you first, and this is a little off topic.
Okay.
I am very off topic. Who knows what
That's
I always have a little script here, but Scavoni.
Yes.
I mean,
there's a little Italian in there.
Yeah, that's doesn't get much more rich Italian heritage sounding name of Scavoni. I'm telling you, if I just ordered Domino's pizza and I just got done eating and I'm walking around the block to walk my dinner off and I walk by and see a Scavoni pizzeria, I'm going in there and having some more pizza. I'm really into family history, and I did some checking into the Scavoni because I was stalking you anyway.
Okay.
So I checked into Scavoni, found it very interesting that the name appears in the early 1100s, possibly further back, but early 1100s in northern Italy.
Yes.
And what's interesting about that is names only got into the census back then if they were names of notoriety. So apparently back in the day, you had some ancestors doing a lot better than you are now.
Well,
why they couldn't pass that forward.
Right. That wouldn't have been bad. But no, I can't complain. I mean, currently right now. I was in an accident a couple of years ago, like me and you had talked about, and still not back on my feet from that. So that would have been nice to to have that little bit of,
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
at the same time, I mean, life is good. I got the show on KCOR that I love. It just, you never know who I'm going to have on. It's all different walks of life. So I enjoy doing that. The paranormal investigating, I don't get out so much as I used to.
You
I
will.
mean,
You will,
I
brother.
will. Yeah, I will get back. I definitely will get back to it as soon as I
You
can.
and I have a lot in common. I don't know if you know this. I'm just going to throw this out there. We both have wonderfully supportive wives, or you and I wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
You have 3 kids. My wife raised 3 wonderful kids through a previous marriage. You have 2 dogs. I have 2 dogs. You have a cat. I have a cat. We're both involved heavily in the paranormal. We're both reverends. It's just guys like us seem to find one another.
It's
It's like
true.
you were right before the show. You were talking to Carl a little bit backstage. He's heavily involved in the paranormal, along with a lot of other things. But that's why I always refer to us as family, because that's how it feels to me, at least. I know there's a lot of drama in the paranormal
There is
community.
a lot of drama.
It's that way in all walks of life.
It is. Yeah.
But
Why should it be any different here?
absolutely. Anything you want to tell me, especially, or I know what I want to do. I mentioned this briefly to you before the show started, and I just want to know how crazy I am or I am not. And this goes out to the listeners if anybody wants to comment on this. Guys, I told Jerrod before the show started that to me, he looks like Simon Pegg. He didn't know who Simon Pegg was. I told him he was the guy from Shaun of the Dead. That happens to be one of my nicknames. Friends close to me call me Shaun of the Dead. But I love that guy. He's a great actor, very funny dude. Saw him in another obscure movie that he did last night late that I'd never seen him in. But if you guys agree with me that Jerrod looks like I'll say this, he's much more handsome than Simon Pegg. But if you agree with me, let us know. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right into questions that I always put them at the top of my list. Questions that your followers have sent me to ask you.
Okay.
Love, Light, and the Paranormal. Sunday mornings on KCORradio.com. I've been on the show. I hear great things, brother. Another thing you and I have in common is I also know how passionate you are about that. I wouldn't still after 5. I'm coming up on 5 years on Vegas Supernatural.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on 1 year here on the ministry on Halloween. I wouldn't still be doing it if I wasn't passionate about it, because it can be a lot of the same old sort of thing. But if you're not,
Yeah.
don't get off on it a little bit and you're not, passionate about it, you don't do it for very long. I have my reasons why I still am enjoying doing what I do. Tell me how you came up with doing Love, Light, and the Paranormal, which is a great name. I want to throw that in there too.
Okay.
And how all that came about, and
It's a pretty cool story. It started shortly after my accident, and I wasn't able to go out and do the paranormal investigating like I always have. So, I was getting down, I was getting depressed. I'm like, why can't I figure out a way to keep myself involved in the paranormal? How come I can't do it? Well, lo and behold, one night I'm sitting up, like, I always go to bed early, but I'm laying there because that's the only place I'm comfortable. And I'm laying in bed for probably 6 hours a night before I fall asleep. So I'm flipping through everything on, Facebook, and I come onto this crazy Reverend guy. And I immediately got hooked listening to you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I immediately got hooked, and I listened to you for months, and then it was
And that didn't scare you off of doing that? You're like,
no, it didn't, and I thought, yeah, that could, I'd like to do that. I mean, you do it for the
I
right
tell people
reason.
all the time, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I'm the first to tell people I still don't have a clue what I'm doing, and it is what it is.
Yeah, so I called, made the call, talked it over, thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I can't go out and do anything else paranormal. Let me talk to the people that are doing it. You know, it just the friends I've made since starting it is overwhelming. I mean, I've met some really great people, stay in touch with a lot of great people. Um, you know, love light and the paranormal. I was thinking, you know, I do have a degree in metaphysical ministry. So that was my love and my light, and my love for the paranormal, of course. Once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just kind of put it together like that. From watching you and talking to the different people, I was interested. I wanted to hear what people had to say. I wanted to reach out to some of those people that don't get a chance to talk that, you know, that much, but they're doing some really good things. So I went to town. I started hitting Facebook, Messenger, phone. You know, within I think 2 months, I'm booked till the end of the year solid. So,
Good for you.
you know, I backed off now, and now I was just talking to my guest this morning, and or this afternoon for me, and his name was Cody Huskins, and we were laughing because it was so long ago that I had booked him, and I'm like, geez, you know, what are these other guests thinking that are coming, you know, November, December? But you know, it's worked out pretty good. I mean, I have had a couple issues with some guests, but you know, not anything they really said or anything. It was just more of a, you know, I'm gonna blow you off kind of thing. You know,
Yeah, it
it
happens.
happens. It happens.
My
So
thing is I get a lot of guys that just don't reach it back out to me. I reach out to them and they don't even say no or get back in touch with me later. Thank you.
yeah,
A lot of guys I just don't hear back from. But yeah, I mean that it's so close. I mean, you're so active in the paranormal. Now you're injured, you can't go. Perfect move for you. Somebody was looking out for you over your shoulder, in your ear about this is what you ought to do. And that's how I felt because one night I think I was doing the same thing. I was watching, I think, an interview that was filmed by somebody at a Paracon somewhere, and I went in and spoke to my wife, and I said, it's really a bummer that, I can't just quit my job up and travel the country going to all these paranormal conventions and conferences and meeting these people. It's never going to happen. It's a real bummer. She goes, well, why don't you just do a a radio show? That way you can get these people on and meet them that way and talk to them. And I actually thought that was a ridiculous idea. And she reached out to Tina. I reached out to Tina at KCUR. Tina never answered me. I said, what do you think? I mean, do you think it could work? Am I capable of pulling off a radio show? She said, why don't we meet for coffee? And I thought she was going to let me down. So we met at a nearby casino for a cup of coffee, and she showed up with a contract. So apparently my wife and her saw something in me I didn't see in myself.
yeah,
The rest is history, but that's how it feels to me. Like if you and I weren't doing this right now, or had you not seen me and started your own show and had me on, you and I wouldn't be doing this. And
no,
then I would have never got a chance to meet you.
exactly.
And there you go. So
Yeah,
that's what keeps me going. And I always think of when I start getting a little, even start feeling like, is there something different I should be doing with the show, or
yeah,
different time slot or a different day or whatever? Should I be trying to reach out for, the Josh Gateses out there, which
right.
those guys never reach out back to you?
Yeah,
I've reached out to all of them.
yeah,
Um, uh, I just come back to the basics. It is family for me. I bring on people that I've either known, that I've met, or I've Facebook friends, or had some type of correspondence with in the paranormal, and that for me keeps it like family. And you seem to be doing the same thing. I see great things for you for a long time to come. Um,
oh, yeah. I really
Keep
enjoyed
up
the
the good
show.
work, man.
You
And
know,
you had a scary show. I was up all night working. I'm a night owl, so I go to bed. Like when my wife's waking up, I'm going to bed. I just
right.
leave her a note when to wake me up. You had Jason Voorhees on this
That was
morning.
today.
Yeah,
Yep.
and a scary guy. And I think that it was so cool. And I like that too. Sometimes I bring people on, and I know my audience must be going, I don't get why that guy's coming on. It is what it is, It's
Well,
our show. We can bring on whoever we want, but
it's kind of the love and light side of it, because it's the guy's got a passion for what he does. He's an inspiration because he's putting so much effort into trying to get that next step in acting career, and he's trying to get those roles. He's trying to make those films. So if I can find somebody who's got some inspiration, I'm going to put him on the show.
absolutely.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. If paranormal's there, I'm going to grab it because I'm just a freak like that. But, I mean, when it comes down to it, though, sometimes you just need to hear something, somebody else doing it, just a little, push. Why don't you try that? This guy's trying it. How come you can't do it? I mean, yeah, it's important.
Well, I have to ask you, and if I ask you anything that's a little bit too personal, just tell me, Rev. Let's move on off it. But how's your whole family doing with the pandemic? How are you doing with your injury and all of that good stuff or bad
Well,
stuff?
pandemic, my wife has worked straight through. She was considered an essential worker, so she went to work every day.
Wow.
In fact, she just picked up another job, so she's working too. Crazy. I don't know how she does it 7 days a week, but the rest of the family did pretty well. My daughter's in the Air Force.
Oh, God bless her.
She was exposed to some of it, but she did not catch it. Thank God. There was guys in her troop that did have it, but so she lucked out. I mean, considering she was working side by side with these guys. Um, that's about it as far as the pandemic goes. The accident, it's been a long, hard road. Not being able to, you can't stand up. I was a guy that worked 60 hours a week, every week. I've done it for years, since I was 20. Now it's a chore for me to stand there and wash the dishes.
Wow.
I mean, sit up here for an hour with you is, it's good. I got a comfortable chair. I did that on purpose. Like I said, I got the whole setup here on purpose, just so I could maneuver myself and be comfortable. But it's chronic pain. Every day it's chronic pain. And I've tried different, things to do. I'm dealing with a pain management center now. They tried a nerve blocker that didn't work. I'm not having very good luck. Not to mention, then you got to battle with your ex-employer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this show was the best thing that happened to me on KCOR. I mean, it really was. I was so depressed. You go from working and being the main breadwinner to nothing, just sitting all day long. Where you sit for 15 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I got to stand up for 15 minutes, take the dogs out. Now I got to sit back down. Or no, now I got to lay down for 3 hours so my back will calm down, that sort of thing.
What would another fall do to you right now?
I would rather, that's like my worst nightmare.
Well, isn't it dangerous to walk the dogs?
Oh, I have a fenced in yard out on the side
Okay.
of the house. So I have a pretty good area that they can get out there. And
Mine are big enough to where they've, I became that old guy that I used to make fun of when I was a kid.
get dragged along.
Oh, dude, it's not even funny. I've been drug on my ass. I've been drug on my face. It's scary. I can't even walk them. And so I would,
because you have the bull mastiff, correct?
I have a Presa Canario and a English Mastiff, but
Oh, okay.
Terribly powerful, terribly strong.
Because I've got the Cane Corso.
Yeah, very closely. Actually, the Cane is more of close to the Neapolitan, and I had a Neapolitan back in the day.
Yeah.
Great dogs, but yeah, that one, he could easily pull you off your feet and drag you if he wanted to. So
yeah,
that wouldn't be good. But I want you. I know you're. Is this the correct terminology? Metaphysical reverend?
Yes. I mean, technically, I think the diploma will state I have a degree in metaphysical ministry.
Oh, gotcha.
But the title they gave me was reverend.
I want you to do the best you can as a reverend being the host of Love, Light, and the Paranormal. And I'm one of those people, dude, that I feel every bit of 60. I don't know what happened to me. Is like I went to bed when I was 40. I woke up and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I don't know what happened.
It goes by
I've
fast.
got a whole, and my wife's a 3-time cancer survivor. We've got cabinets full of. I could go out on the street and make a small mint being a drug dealer if I wanted to.
Oh, I know that feeling.
When I take this stuff and it helps with this ache or that ache or this issue, I am a freaking zombie. I can't function.
I
So
have
I
the
tried.
opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've tried everything from the strongest painkillers out there. I've gone as high as I can go. I don't feel anything. I
Wow.
don't feel it help at all. Even sleeping pills. As I used to say, can you give me something to sleep? I'm only sleeping like 4 hours a night. Can you give me something? So
Wow.
they give me a strong sleeping pill. I'd have to go double it. And then I still sit in bed and wait 6 hours to fall asleep, you know?
Well, you're on the prayer list. I love you, man. I'm going to continue to pray for your recovery. I want you to succeed with Love, Light, and the Paranormal. I want you to succeed with your recovery. I want to see you get back out there and do the paranormal thing again because I heard great things. And I want to talk a little bit about your paranormal background.
Yeah,
But
we
as
can do that.
as a reverend, and I know many of them. For all the people out there that might be watching that are struggling, um, like you are with one injury or another, or one, physical ailment or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
that are thinking about throwing in the towel, uh, give us your best pep talk, so to speak, or any words of advice you can give anybody that's
I
ready
think
when
that
ready when this show was over with. I don't want to be so morbid. Go and jump into the deep end of their pool and it's been drained like mine.
no, no, I think, one of the things that I realized after I got hurt that, whether it be you're Christian, you're Baptist, Buddhist, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not tied into the Catholic faith. I'm there for everybody. So I don't, I'll never give you the answers. I'll help you find them if you need it. I'll help you I kind of guide you through it if you have to, but the biggest thing is, a lot of it is whether you want to pray, which the power of prayer is amazing. I'm not going to ever tell anybody it's not. Whether it's you get up every day and you do, affirmations, same, which is just similar to a prayer. But if you can, for me, that worked the best for me was meditation with the affirmations to keep myself positive. And it also, during the meditation, let me realize that there's more in this world than what anybody knows, because you can really have some spiritual experiences during that. It really opened my eyes. It made me realize, confront your ego. It doesn't, like I said, I was the big tough guy that worked 60 hours a week, and now I'm not an invalid, but I'm not far away. You know what I mean? You got to get past your ego, and you got to realize that no matter what happens or what situation, you got to be happy that you're alive. It's important. You don't take any negative criticism, or if you do take it with a grain of salt. Don't, even the worst person giving advice, you can still, if you know how to do it, you can still pull something positive out of it, no matter how you look at it. I mean, there's a way. You just don't stop fighting. Don't give up on yourself. Try new things. I mean, that's one of the things that helped me out was jumping on the KCOR. I was at the depressed point of, after a year being laid up, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to still be alive. I was sitting here like, God, I'm a failure. My wife's doing everything. I can't help. I have to sit there and watch. I can't even go with them to like walk around shopping or anything if they've wanted to. Or there's just little things, that'll eat you up. Find your way to stay positive. And that's another thing that I did when I started spiritual writing.
Oh, brother, I'm glad you brought that up. I was just about to bring that up. First of all, I start looking for a book, and I know that one's got to be coming. But where did that talent come from? And brothers and sisters, if you want to go to Jerrod's personal Facebook profile, it's easy to find. He's got several of his writings posted there. The first thing I thought when I saw them was poems, but there's so much more than that. And where did that talent come from?
That was meditation. That came right out of once I started meditating, and once you, I don't know, I felt more um, in tuned, with it when you're talking metaphysical with the, power that be, whether it's the God consciousness or whether it's, God himself, or there's something there. It's definitely an energy and you feel it. And when it comes into you, it's amazing. Some stuff just pours out whether whether you're ready for it or not,
This is
you
going to
know?
be a weird question, or maybe not. When this, I'm going to refer to it as God because I'm a big God guy. I believe in God because I deal with so much of the opposite of that that I
Yes.
know that
Yes.
there's something that's a much higher vibrational entity of love and light.
Yes.
To steal the title of your show, that watches over us and helps us fight that. And then I happen to refer to him as God. When this force comes into you as you're meditating, does that help with your pain?
Um, yes. When I'm in meditation, I can, I'm so in tuned to what's going on during the meditation that it takes my mind off it. So I've tried, I've done a lot of the, the ones that you'll go on, they'll talk you through it, and everything. And it's like, yeah, but I have better luck just kind of getting into my own space, doing my own thing. I kind of talk inside my head and let the, whatever's there, I'm listening, you
Well,
know.
for the people that are sitting there wondering, wanting to give that a shot, you've made it sound like it's something that a lot of people need to give it a shot to.
Yeah.
Me, like there's so many people in my field that uh, don't like meditation or yoga. I
Yeah.
don't have nothing against either or. I don't judge. My form of meditation comes, for instance, something as simple as saying the rosary.
Okay.
Um, what's your technique for somebody that may be looking for a technique on how to start
Okay.
their
So
meditation?
yeah, if you're a beginner, that was one of my things that the course that I took taught me right off the bat was you need to get in touch with your inner self. So you got to do it through meditation. So never meditated before in my whole life, and I'm like, this is not going to happen. I totally blew it out the window, like, no way. And then finally, I'm like, you know what, you idiot, you're taking the course, you know, try it. So basically, the easiest thing I found to do would be to get yourself a white candle, prayer candle. That's what I used. Make yourself eye level with it. Um, you're going to stay about 5 to 6 inches away from it with your eyes, and you're going to focus on the center of that flame. And then, you look at it for, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then just close your eyes. It gives you something to focus on because when you shut your eyes, you're still going to see that flame right up in this area, which is basically what you're trying to do is open your third eye, and let the everything come into you, or let the energy come in, guide you, that sort of thing. Um, the first time I did it, I didn't do it longer than 5 minutes. That was it. And I was like, I felt pretty good when I did that. So I'll try it again, and before I knew it, I was up to a half an hour over the course of a month.
Wow.
Every day, every couple of days, I would add a few minutes, and um, it was pretty amazing. I saw some pretty wild things, I would say. Um, yeah, I even had my mother visit me
That's cool.
through that.
She's passed on.
Yes. Yeah, she passed on when I was 18. So that was pretty special to actually have that happen. I was not prepared. I think the second that she went out of vision, I jumped up from the table, blew the candle out, and was like, "What the hell just happened?" you know,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
I wasn't ready for it. I just doing it because I felt relaxed, and finally I could take a little pressure off some of the bones. So that's what I was thinking. I had no idea what was going to come at me, but yeah, it's enlightening. I would recommend just taking the candle, gaze into it 5 minutes, shut your eyes, and just stop your thoughts. Just let whatever's going to come. It may not happen right away, um, but as you get more comfortable with it, you'll up the time. You can do the guided meditations if you like. There's plenty of those on YouTube. Um, you know, uh, it's worth a shot for anybody that's depressed or had a major injury or something. I find it anyway.
Well, now where you're at in this level
Yeah,
of everything that you're doing now, um, how do you answer the question when people say, "Are you a religious person?"
I'm spiritual.
Spiritual. You go with
Yeah, I don't
good.
I don't follow spirituality. I don't follow spiritism. I'm just spiritual. I see aspects of truth and understanding why people feel the way they do. We're all on the same journey. We're just taking different roads.
Absolutely.
So, why can't I support, somebody that's a Buddhist or somebody that's a Catholic or somebody that's a Christian? It shouldn't matter, you know.
And you know, and I've had, somewhere around here, I have a list because after it had happened to several times, I said, start writing this down. And I have a list of somewhere here of somebody from every walk of life and every religious belief system at one time or another has come to me for advice or help. My first question is always, do you belong to a church? Yes. Why didn't you reach out to anybody there? I tried and nobody there was able to help me with this. So I came to you. And I find that amazing. And I do believe you're absolutely, we all are on this, in this together.
Yeah,
And we're hearing that a lot now, but it's true. We are in this together. We're just on the same journey, and we're taking different roads. But I find that part amazing too. That these people, it's very humbling when people from other religious belief systems reach out to you. I don't try to convert anybody over to Catholicism or Christianity, but I do the best I can with what tools been given me to try
right.
to help this person, and they're appreciative over it. And I think that's a really a very very cool thing. But I know it's killing you, brother, the not being able to get out there and do the
Yeah.
paranormal thing. But your history in the paranormal goes way back, as mine does. It's another thing we have in common. I was seeing spirits when I was at 10, maybe
Yeah.
earlier than that. So talk to me about your introduction onto the path of the
Oh,
paranormal and those experiences, because there's a lot of youngsters out there
yeah. They
that
have something going on.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take you back till I want to say I was 9 or 10 years old. Um, had been experiencing something going on in my house at that time that I had no idea what was going on. I really thought it was my mother and my stepfather trying to scare me at the time. I really did. And then my father's dad, my grandfather, had passed away. So they had a big get together at the house, the big house that they all lived in, and I went down. My cousins were there. We went upstairs. We're young. We'll get out of the way and let them talk, and we'll go horse around. So we're all upstairs. We're horsing around, and we hear somebody coming up the stairs. So my cousin goes, "Who's that coming up?" And I'm like, I looked, and I'm like, "There's nobody there." And he goes, I said, "It must have been hearing things." All of a sudden, you hear a couple more footsteps, and then you can tell they're on the landing coming towards the room. And there was three of us, and all three of us out the door. And my God, someone just went in that room. There was a room beside us, and it just walked right in there. So we got brave enough and went in and turned on the lights, and of course there was nobody there. Went downstairs to tell my father and to tell my uncle. Big mistake. Big mistake. They did not believe in anything like that. They didn't want to hear it. For years, I tried to tell them about it. Nope, didn't want to talk about it. And later on in life, you know, me and my cousin went our separate ways because he was from Rhode Island at the time. We we started talking about 10 years ago, and the first thing he brought up was, "Do you remember what happened at the farm?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. Yes, I remember." He goes, "No one would believe us." I go, "I know, I remember." And that was my first real experience. I had questions on what was going on at my own home, and it wasn't until I was later, teenage years, before I found out why there was stuff going on at my home. The home that we ended up spending most of my childhood in was after we purchased it. And like I said, a few years later, my mother and stepfather finally told me that the home used to be a funeral home.
Whoa.
In a small town up in Maine. They used to hold the funerals in 2 downstairs bedrooms that we had. And there was actually a casket house out back. We walked up into our attic. There was a coffin. And then you walked into the attic of the barn, and there was a tombstone of a little girl that was 2 years old. Now, that kind of got my attention a little bit. Things would happen that you just couldn't explain. And then my mother said, "There's a little boy here, and he's sitting right beside me." And I said, "How do you know that? How can you tell that?" She goes, "It's all cold. You can feel his outline." And we were sitting at the kitchen table. I said, "He's sitting on the floor?" And she goes, "Yeah, he's sitting on the floor, and he's hugging my leg." And I'm like, "You are nuts." I was like, "You are nuts." And I reached my hand down, and you could make out the silhouette. It felt just like you were running your hands up and down the body. And I was like, "That's incredible." I was fascinated. That was it. I was asking every question I could ask. And then fast forward to about maybe 15, we were at home sitting downstairs, had closed off the upstairs of the house. It was a big house, had like 7 bedrooms. So it was a good sized house. And we shut off the upstairs. We're all sitting down watching a movie, and all you hear is footsteps run across the ceiling. And we all just stopped. Movie shut off that really quick, and we all just listened. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 across the floor again upstairs. And it's so much that the doorways that used to be open for the funeral part, downstairs, they started like jumping almost off the hinges.
Wow.
Now my stepfather was convinced that there was some town drunk or something, some idiot broke into the house. So he grabbed his 357 and ran up over the stairs, and he come down, and he was white as a ghost. He was petrified because there was nobody there.
Or he saw something and didn't want to tell you guys.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah, and he was always scared of that house afterwards because I was at 16. I was going up in the top of the barn to check out noises that were going on because I was the curious one. Like, I need to know. And he was just looking at me and go, "No, there's nothing there. What you just heard, that thrashing around up there. There's something there." No, there's nothing there. So I ended up checking on my own, and I didn't get to see any apparitions. I got to feel things there. There was a little boy that had actually died in the home, right in front of the fireplace. He had caught fire back in the early days with his flannel pajamas, and they kept him at the house because hospitals back then weren't, when we did a little search on it, and he ended up dying a couple days later, and my mother was convinced that was the little boy. But the funny thing was, at 18, when my mom passed away, that was it. It was no more. No, nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing went on. It was just like the whole thing ended. So
almost like she was a conduit when she was there. Did you ever talk to your mom, have a paranormal talk with your mom?
Oh, well, we used to talk paranormal all the time.
Was she a believer?
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
she was gifted. She was a conduit for some of
Yeah,
that stuff being there. So after all is said and done, when people, and I ask this from everybody, would you consider yourself a believer in the afterlife?
absolutely. Absolutely.
A lot
I've
of people don't, there's a lot of,
yeah.
even in my field, they're either demons, angels, and that's it. There's no such thing as ghosts, but I'm here to
No.
tell you that they exist. And
Yeah.
when you were out, you started doing your paranormal investigating. Um, what technique did you adopt? I mean, I think of paranormal investigators in two camps. There's the conjurers, then there's the helpers, and there's like I like to go. I get called in on cases, and so I find myself trying to help these spirits to cross over. Very seldom occasion they just had too much of a hold on where they were at. They were not going to, and I don't recommend this, but sometimes you get the family together and you make a deal with the spirit. Listen, as long as you don't continue to scare the shit out of everybody here,
Right.
you can stay until you finish accomplishing whatever it is. If you're on some purgatory type of
Yeah.
making something right that you wronged, great. But then there's the typical ghost hunter that you see groups of people in a dark, abandoned, insane asylum, trying to make the spirits that are there, perform
Yeah.
tricks
See,
like they're circus acts.
that's something I wouldn't do.
I'm not into that.
I don't, I won't do locations like that. I've always done, um, private homes, residential cases, which now that I think about, I do kind of regret, because the team I chose at the time, I was naive. I was trying to be, um, a skeptic, and I looked around. Being in New Hampshire, not knowing anybody, you're gonna grab somebody that's in the field when you finally make your choice to jump in. So I jumped in with a team. Um, Liked what they had to say. Found out none of it was true, but that's okay. Um, I live and learn.
Yeah.
Um, but we went in with the intent on helping people. That was supposed to be what we were doing. It never ended up being that. I mean,
Why couldn't you? I know this is just. I mean, if I'm being silly here, be honest with me. Why couldn't you still do that now? Why couldn't you form a team, but you just can't go out hunting with them, but you're able to pass on your knowledge, pass on your ghost hunting, ghost busting skills, talk to people about, do background research history on haunts, talk to your team before they go in, have them always come back to you, and you guys have your meetings and talk about, review evidence and all that kind of stuff, and then come
yeah.
up with a game plan. I don't see why you still couldn't do that, and I think you would love that. In addition to
Um,
everything else you got going on the show and all that, but uh,
actually,
you could still
actually,
do that.
me and my wife have talked about it, and but because she does investigate with me usually. We've talked about it, and we've seen so many people that come to you acting one way, and then when you actually see how they act at a client or somebody else, whatever reason they do it, I don't know, but um, I think we decided that if we're going to do it, we'll wait and we'll do it just on our own,
Very
just for
cool.
the simple fact that I want to control it more. I don't want I don't want to continue the legacy that other people have, ruined the field with. I want to make sure it's done a certain way. Don't get me wrong. There are some people I'd love to investigate with, but you know, thinking
You
of,
got to be careful.
just thinking about, my biggest thing was, we were supposed to help people. That was what we were supposed to do. And no, it never felt like we were helping people. It felt like the group wanted Facebook Live, and they were jumping in front of the camera every 2 seconds saying the team name and we're live. And this is what's going on, not paying attention to the investigation, not giving the client, what they need, not helping. Um, I was so disgusted. We went to a place. I'm not gonna name any names, but we went to a location. It was a couple years ago, Um, highly active, very active. Something was off. There was really something off. Me and my wife both saw an apparition of a little boy. Um, First apparition I'd ever seen that good. It was, quick,
Yeah.
but at the same time, your hair on all over your body stands up. Um, there was definitely something going on. Well, this poor lady had a husband that was dying of cancer. We're supposed to be there to help. Now, the team was there. The head of the team was there to basically create drama, try to embellish, um, scare her, and so he could get a story, and you know, take advantage.
Yeah.
So when we ended up leaving, she was petrified. Her husband was going to pass, which he has now, and she was going to be all alone in that house. And instead of offering, someone that could help, maybe do a cleansing, um, help her in some way, no, they brought up some friends that would claim to be psychics and walked around with a crystal ball in their arm all night. And at the end of the night, we're like, yeah, you're gonna need 8 visits to your house, and before it's cleansed. And I was so disgusted. I said, me and my wife all the way home, we were like, this is wrong. I can't do this anymore. I just can't.
I decided I experienced a lot of that same type of stuff, and I finally got to the point where uh, if I realized that things might get worse before I even got there, I would find a way to refer another team to the person that I trusted before I would go in there and be part of making things worse, because these people are already physically and emotionally, hanging on the edge of the cliff by their
Yeah.
fingernails. And uh,
Yeah, and that was quite a hike. That was like a 4-hour trip to get to that place we were investigating. So it wasn't like I could go back, especially now. I couldn't go back after my accident, and I felt so bad. I wanted to get back. I wanted to do a blessing on the home. I wanted to help, but I couldn't do it. And I said, we can't do that anymore. And then he reached out to me right after the show started on KCOR. I got somebody that's a problem. They're having really bad problems. I need you to address them on Zoom. So we went and had a Zoom meeting. I asked what was going on. It was so embellished. It was absolutely insane. I mean, he's telling her that she's got a reaper in her house, and she's turning around saying, "Yeah, I saw it." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. How do you know she's got a reaper? Because I saw it. So where's what do you mean?" It was when I was talking to her on Zoom. I said, "Well, where's the video?" Oh, no, 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 not like that. I just saw it, and so he was making it up basically, and I
wow.
I was disgusted. She was
I
doing the
also
same
yeah,
thing.
see, I also learned the hard way. I don't even I already know they're so freaked out that I don't hardly give up anything. And I had an actual client. Thank God I caught her in time. Showed her a picture of something that I had captured in her home that she was the only one that saw. And even though she had seen it before, the actual fact that she was now seeing it
Yeah,
in a picture, she fainted. And had I not been, right there, she would have fallen down these stairs. So I'm even careful about doing that. It's
yeah. It's well, you don't tell somebody that
you got to reaper
there's a
that,
reaper behind, in
and
your
it
home,
not be true.
and it's
I,
not even true. And the other thing was that he found out, that I had my degree,
and what's a
because
reaper? I'm not sure what a reaper is. The
the
Grim
Grim
Reaper?
Reaper, the Grim Reaper. Yeah,
Okay.
and they found out I had my degree, so he's sitting there telling this girl that I'm a demonologist, and I go, no, I don't feel comfortable calling myself a demonologist. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't have any formal training like that. Well, I thought that's what you went to school for. I'm like, no. So you get all snippy, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I am embarrassed. It's I don't want to be. I don't want to have that feeling ever again. If I go in
Well,
now,
there's nothing wrong with you waiting to do it with your wife. It's just my
no,
wife and I. After all of these years, it started with just me and her. We've worked with a couple of teams. We had our own team, and now after the smoke has cleared and all these cases later and all the things we've gone through, personal hells that we've gone
yeah,
through, it's just her and I prefer it that way. So,
no, I think it's
when the
best.
time comes that you get back out there, get back up on the horse with your wife, I think you'll realize it was well worth the wait, and I think you'll be much happier.
Yeah, and I've got a little. I feel more comfortable myself helping people now than I did at the time. At the time, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to make that wrong move on what to do or what to say, and now it's totally different. I feel like I belong. I should have been doing it all along. I just never, took that step. And I walked into a team and I wanted, it wasn't my team. It
Yeah,
was his team. So that's the way it was run. So I went with it for a while, and I felt guilty every time I, couldn't make it, because it wasn't guilty. I couldn't make it for the team. I was guilty. I couldn't make it for the client,
absolutely.
because that's one of the things I would try to do is try to, give them a little bit of ease and let them know, you're not crazy. This stuff does happen, just relax, we'll tell you what you will find and see if it, but, I definitely don't like over dramatizing.
Absolutely.
I don't like writing a children's sized book over an investigation that we did, that sort of thing. I was pretty embarrassed, and I said I'm not gonna let that happen anymore. The time that I walk on my own, make my own connections, do my own thing my way, and if there's anybody to blame, it's me.
Well, brother, I will. You know me. I love you. I respect you. I'll keep you on the prayer list. I know your recovery. Um, I know there's going to be a day where that is over. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to seeing you and your wife getting out there again. This is why the show will probably one day, after a couple of talks with Carl, maybe extending it out, because boom, see, I told you,
Yeah.
where'd the hour go?
I know. That's the way I feel
Um,
on mine too.
I'll have you back, because I'm just now scratching the surface on getting into your paranormal background. I find that fascinating, and I know my listeners do too. So
Yeah.
I'll have you back. But before I let you go, let everybody know again about the show and when they can hear it.
Okay. So if you're looking to catch the show, you go to kcorradio.com. You'll find me on Sunday mornings. I'll be on at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I'll be on at 1 p.m. Eastern. Show is only an hour, and you really never know who I'm going to have on there. I do like to change it up a little bit, so you can also visit my Love Light and the Paranormal show page. And
Very cool.
I
Very
do
cool.
post
And
them up there.
you're in Farmington, New Hampshire, which I hear is very haunted.
Yes, it does have a few places around here. I've been in touch with a few people. Even the library is supposed to be haunted.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Well, brother, listen, I hope you get some rest tonight. You're, like
absolutely.
I said, you're in my prayers. Tell your wife I said hi. We haven't had a chance to meet yet. Hang in there, brother. I'll be in touch with you, and just try to have a wonderful remainder to your Sunday evening. And thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Rev. You the same. You the same.
Jerrod, good night, brother.
Good night.
Brothers and sisters, Reverend J. Jerrod Scavoni. Trust me, if you drive by a pizzeria, Scavoni Pizzeria, trust me, pull in there. I don't care if you just had pizza around the corner. Try it. That's a great name. Great history to that name, too. Great history to paranormal history with Jay. I know him and his wife will be back out there doing their thing again here real soon. Let's keep both of them, and definitely Jerrod, in our prayers for the recovery to his back injury. That's gonna be brutal. I don't know how I would handle it. I don't handle those kind of things well, so that would be brutal. But next week, oh my gosh, what do we got? Oh, she's back. The Paranormal MD is back. Mary Marshall. We've got a lot of unfinished business from the first time she was on. So she's back by popular demand, because all you guys demanded it. Tomorrow night, I have Mark Fiorentino, ufologist, on Vegas Supernatural on KCOR. So, guys, God bless you all. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Without you guys, I don't have a show. And I will see you all literally next week. Thank you, Carl Albertson, for all your hard work behind the scenes. And on that note, guys, good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you, everyone. Good night.